In 2013, a young traveller checked into one of Los Angeles' most infamous hotels. Days later, she vanished. But what happened next would capture the attention of the entire world. Security cameras recorded Elisa Lam behaving strangely in an elevator, pressing buttons, hiding, and appearing to speak to someone who wasn't there. Soon, the footage spread across the internet, sparking theories ranging from mental illness to conspiracy to the paranormal. But the truth behind what happened inside the Cecil Hotel remains one of the most haunting mysteries of the modern internet age. Now, before I begin this episode, I really wanted to pay a personal tribute to Elisa. I want this episode to reflect the life of a young, vibrant woman who was exploring the world and tragically lost her life. While researching this episode, it was difficult for me not to notice parallels with her diagnosis of bipolar disorder, something that is also a personal struggle of mine. At times, while watching the footage of her final moments, I found myself overcome with emotion. Elisa became a viral moment, but it is important to remember that she was a person. She had dreams and hopes like the rest of us. She struggled with mental illness, and sadly this may have contributed to her death. Please remember that these episodes are based on research, and it is important that while listening to this story, you spare a thought for the thousands of people across our world who are currently struggling with their own mental health. Please note, our episodes are best experienced with headphones. You're listening to the Beyond Haunted UK podcast. Before we begin, if you enjoy these stories, please follow Beyond Haunted UK on all available podcast providers and across social media. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or even Spotify, over 70% of you aren't currently following, and your support generally helps the podcast grow. Our episodes may contain themes of mental illness, trauma, human suffering, or even details related to true crime. Please listen with care. If you or someone you know is struggling with their mental health, please know that support is available. In the description of this episode, you'll find links to organisations that provide help and support in both the UK and the United States. Reaching out can feel difficult, but you don't have to face things alone. Speaking to someone you trust, a professional, or a support service can make a real difference. Please remember, you are not alone, and help is always available. In January 2013, a young Canadian student named Elisa Lam arrived in Los Angeles. Elisa had been born in Vancouver, Canada in 1991, to parents who had emigrated from Hong Kong. She was studying at the University of British Columbia and was known among friends and family as thoughtful, intelligent and deeply reflective. Like many travellers visiting the city for the first time, she planned to explore, write, and experience life on the road. She had been documenting her journey through a personal Tumblr blog where she wrote openly about travel, identity, and her experiences living with bipolar disorder. But within weeks, her name would become known across the world. Elisa Lam would become part of a modern internet phenomenon, a case that turned ordinary viewers into online investigators, analysing every detail of her final known movements. Because Elisa Lam would disappear inside of one of the most infamous hotels in America. The hotel was the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. Built in the 1920s during a period of rapid expansion in the city, the building once represented ambition and luxury. But over the decades, the Cecil would become known for something very different. Crime, violence, and even tragedy. Over the years, the hotel became associated with several deaths and suicides. It was also linked to notorious criminals including serial killers Richard Ramirez, known as the Night Stalker, and Austrian serial killer Jack Unterweger, both of whom reportedly stayed there during periods of their crimes. By the time Elisa checked in, the hotel had already gained a reputation that many locals found unsettling. Several deaths had occurred there over the years, and the surrounding neighbourhood, part of what is known as Skid Row, had long struggled with poverty, homelessness and crime. Yet, despite its reputation, the Cecil continued to operate as a budget hotel, hosting travellers from across the world. Elisa Lam was 21 years old. A student from Vancouver, she had been documenting her travels through a personal blog, sharing thoughts about life, mental health, and her experiences exploring the world. Friends described her as thoughtful, curious, and deeply reflective. At first her trip appeared to be going normally. She checked into the hotel, visited nearby shops, and she stayed in contact with her family back home. But within days, that contact suddenly stopped. When Elisa failed to check out of the hotel, staff began to realise something was wrong. Police were called, and the search of the building began. But the investigation would soon take an unexpected turn. Because during the search, police discovered a piece of security footage from inside one of the hotel's elevators. Footage that would soon spread across the internet and spark worldwide speculation. Before you continue, this is a trigger warning. The next footage that you will see is the final known footage of Elisa Lam. Please watch with care. In the video, Elisa Lam appears alone in the elevator. She presses several buttons, steps in and out of the doorway, and appears to hide in the corner of the lift. At times she seems to gesture toward the hallway, as though speaking to someone just outside the camera's view. And then suddenly, she leaves the elevator and disappears from the camera. This would be the last confirmed sighting of Elisa Lam alive. When the footage was released to the public, millions of people watched it. Some believe Elisa appeared frightened, as if someone might be following her. Others suggested her behaviour might reflect a mental health episode. And some believed something far stranger was happening inside the Cecil Hotel. As speculation spread across the internet, police continued searching the building. Days passed, then weeks, but there was still no sign of Elisa. Eventually, hotel guests began reporting something unusual. The water pressure in the building had dropped, and some guests complained about the taste and colour of the water. When staff investigated the rooftop water tanks, they made a discovery that shocked the city. Inside one of the tanks, they tragically found the body of Elisa Lam. An investigation later concluded that Elisa had likely accessed the rooftop and entered the tank herself. Toxicology reports showed no evidence of alcohol or illegal drugs, though investigators noted that some of her prescribed medication for bipolar disorder appeared to be present in lower levels than expected. Authorities ultimately ruled her death an accidental drowning, suggesting she may have experienced a mental health episode. But the unusual circumstances surrounding the case and the unsettling elevator footage have continued to fuel debate ever since. For some people, the Elisa Lam case represents a tragic story of mental health and circumstance. For others, it remains one of the internet's most unsettling mysteries. Even today, more than a decade later, people still return to the footage searching for answers to what really happened inside the Cecil Hotel. And perhaps the reason this story continues to resonate is because it reminds us how quickly an ordinary journey can become something far darker. Before you go, don't forget to follow Beyond Haunted UK on Spotify and across our social media. Honestly, every follow, every share, every message really helps this community grow, and it keeps these stories alive. You can remember you'll find us wherever the strange and the spiritual meet. Thank you for listening.